The Real Housewives of Potomac's explosive reunion show is finished, and the fight between Candiace Dillard and Monique Samuels was the hottest topic during all of it. As criminal defense attorneys, in our last video, we gave you a legal perspective of that very messy situation. Today, we want to answer all of your follow-up questions from that video. I'm attorney Amina Sheikh.
I'm attorney Jasmine Rippey, and we're the ladies-in-law. We have our own law firm in Detroit where we practice criminal and family law. We started our legal career at a large corporate firm in Detroit, and we're here to demystify the law. We received plenty of valid and interesting questions and comments from our last video. Our first question is from Mariana H. Mariana asks, what about Monique running around saying she's going to kill her, meaning Candiace? Did that not come into play? Well, that happened actually after Monique had grabbed Candiace's hair. So at that point, the assault was already over and done with. The prosecutor likely focused on the events leading up to and including the altercation, not what happened after. If anything, it just made Monique look a little crazier.
Okay, so we had two very similar kind of comments, questions as our next two. And first was from Nadia Harrison, and she asked, what about Candiace putting her hand in her face, Monique's face? And then C. Morgan said, why don't you guys chat about the threat of violence as an aspect of Maryland's laws? For example, aggressive hand gesturing in someone's face. Well, to answer that question, you need to understand the standard for assault in Maryland in most cases. So the standard for assault is whether a reasonable person in that situation would act the way that they did. And if it was reasonable, they're fine. So to put it in the context of this situation, was Monique reasonable in feeling that Candiace may harm her by putting her hands in her face and therefore being able to hit her back? Well, based on what we know and how Candiace had previously assaulted Ashley from the show with a butter knife, then Monique very well could be reasonable in feeling like Candiace was going to hit her. And so then by grabbing Candiace's hair, she was acting in self-defense.
So next we have a question from Tracy Basile. Tracy asks, I'd like to know your take on Candiace threatening Ashley with a butter knife. Now our take on this is that it showed that Monique was reasonable in fearing that type of similar harm from Candiace based on this prior incident, and that the prosecutor likely found that Monique was justified in grabbing Candiace's hair and not criminally liable. On the other hand, Candiace was not charged because she didn't actually physically touch Monique until after Monique had grabbed her hair, and it's really unclear who pushed Monique.
That's true. Okay, so C. Morgan had a follow-up question, and that was, did Monique, her degree of force match the level of the perceived threat from Candiace? Now, you might be surprised by our answer. Well, yes. When a reasonable person believes that they're going to be reasonably hit in the face, then it's reasonable, yes, that word again, it's reasonable to respond with grabbing someone's hair. In a legal perception, and probably how the prosecutor looked at it, was Monique was presented with non-deadly force, and she responded with non-deadly force as well.
Lastly, we have a question from Mel's_coffee who would like to know our own perspective on the fight, as well as the reason to support that perspective. So we feel that the prosecutor did the right thing in this situation by not charging either lady. Monique had a reasonable belief that Candiace was going to actually hit her when Candiace was waving her hands around in Monique's face. Now this belief is based on the already tense nature of the relationship between the ladies. It's based on Candiace's aggressive nature toward Monique that night leading up to the fight, as well as Candiace assaulting Ashley with a butter knife. Now on Candiace's side, we feel the same way, that she shouldn't have been charged. Candiace was justified, we feel, in throwing a drink at Monique after Monique had grabbed Candiace's hair, even though Candiace had not touched Monique in the first place.
Well, thanks for watching. And make sure you check out our previous video on this exact same topic. And make sure you also like and subscribe so that you get all of the hottest legal information from the ladies in law.